You have to send them each and another person separately. The first three speakers but since we're all three, that's okay, because it's an involvement is important. Yeah. Right. You listed it. So we don't it's 1% to 1 zero. What is the silicon? It's going, there's only 1,300 homes on there. Riverpark. Oh, Riverpark, okay. You know, we're stuck between Greatwood territory and Riverpark West and Delaware. I don't remember when that was all open field over there. Oh, I do too.
Not all of these. I said, I told them we're veterans. We've been speaking at all of these. Oh, yeah.
Dexter, I text with Dexter. Like every month. Unless I need
Mr. Secretary, we can take down the time. It is 4:04 p.m. Good afternoon. I call the Redistricting Advisory Committee to order. Today is Monday, September 29th, 2025. The time is 4:04 p.m. This meeting is conducted under our standing rules, Robert's Rules of Order, and Texas state law. Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Mike Gibson. Present. Ms. Nicole Roberts.
Present.
Ethan Cashmere is present. Emilio Gaston.
Present.
Ryan Elias. Richard Morrison.
Here.
Ethan Sutter.
On his way in traffic.
Dora Olivo. Miss Wendy Duncan.
Present.
Jacob Lee.
Present. Quorum is present, we may proceed with business. We will now open for public comments limited to 3 minutes per speaker or until the 30-minute time limit expires. I am going to call the first one I have here, which is Jilly D. Jillin.
Jill, nothing
Jill.
fancy, just Jill. Citizens Redistricting Advisory Committee, thank you for the opportunity to address you on this matter. My name is Billy E. Jell, and I'm a resident of River Park in Precinct 4, which is proposed to change precincts in the potential maps. At this time, I urge caution against pursuing a realignment of Fort Bend County precinct boundaries. While I recognize that redistricting is sometimes necessary, moving forward with changes now would create more challenges than benefits. First, the cost and administrative burden would be significant. Redrawing lines requires staff time, legal review, and the production of new maps, materials, and voter registration cards. This would create expenses that could otherwise be directed toward essential county services. Second, changes in precinct lines risk confusing voters. Many residents have been voting in the same location for years, and shifting precinct assignments would cause them to show up at the wrong place, discourage participation, and even reduce turnout in upcoming elections. Third, redistricting has potential to disrupt communities. Current boundaries generally reflect existing neighborhoods and natural community ties. Altering these lines risks splitting up established areas, weakening the sense of shared presentation. Fourth, even if changes are made with the best intentions, redistricting can carry the perception of being motivated by politics. That perception erodes public trust and exposes the county to unnecessary accusations of partisanship or gerrymandering. Finally, timing and compliance issues must be considered. The county must meet strict state and federal deadlines for ballot preparation and voter registration updates. Attempting to redraw precincts too close to an election would put those processes at risk. In summary, the current system is working. It provides stability, maintains voter confidence, and avoids unnecessary costs. Unless there is a clear and urgent legal requirement, I respectfully submit that maintaining the current precinct boundaries is the best course for Fort Bend County. Thank you.
All right, next I have Mr. Chris Pino.
Good afternoon. Thank you, members of the committee, for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Chris Pino. I am a resident of Precinct 4, and I am here to speak in favor of MAP WDRY Amendment 1, also known as MAP 1 Amendment 1. I want to be fully transparent that I personally, in my heart of hearts, do not think that this process should be happening right now. I believe it is not necessarily in the best interest of the community for us to redistrict. That said, I understand that folks disagree, and here we are in the midst of this process, and my hope is that we can find a map that is agreeable to both sides. I have tried to engage thoughtfully in this process and build a bipartisan consensus. I showed up to just about every hearing, and I spoke, and I presented a map that I think would make both sides happy. A map that I think both sides would find agreeable, and that would potentially even be enacted with a bipartisan consensus. This map is in full compliance with all of the standing rules that were adopted by Commissioners Court. I believe respectfully that not all of the maps on the agenda today satisfy those burdens. This is the only map that most minimally moves around residents. Only 11% will move around. It does create a precinct 3 that is Republican leaning while still maintaining 42% of the Asian community in the district. It's the only map that keeps every single elected official and their annex within the district. And I think that this is a map that would be enacted with a bipartisan vote. I think in the spirit of engaging the community in this process, which is what this committee exists to do and what's the prerogative of Commissioner's Court, I am just asking for one of your votes. As I understand, you have 2 or 3 votes today. My hope is that we can pass a map that both sides can come together and put this very difficult chapter aside and find a bipartisan consensus and turn over a new page. Thank you, and I yield back.
Mr. Pino, are you going to be here for the whole hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because when your map comes up, I am going to ask you to describe your map to the committee and,
Okay.
and the thought process behind it.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next I have a Jazzer Wassin. Sorry, I'm having trouble with reading the names on this list.
We'll see.
Wassin.
All right, thank you for the members of the advisory committee. I do appreciate this open session and asking for public comments and concern. I do believe that is one of the reasons we live in Fort Bend County, because every voice should be heard, and I really appreciate this opportunity. My name is Jazzer Wassim. I've had the privilege to serve as one of the board of directors for March 25. I wanted to share my concern with the proposed map that would nearly move all of the communities from Brussels River, including dozens of muds and several lives into Precinct 3. The community that I served in has already been established, and we're not looking for any type of rapid growth. But we have infrastructure that needs upgrades, and we continue to improve the quality of life for our residents. These are long-term commitments that require stability and consistency. And over the years, before being a MUD director and just a community voice, I've built a relationship with our commissioners. It does take time for me, our family members, and the residents that I serve to build these connections. Having a different commissioner could change priorities on how they take, what would be their own priority. The biggest thing for our residents is to make sure we're staying engaged with the Commissioner's Court office, our current commissioner that serves us. This is one of the reasons I believe that the map that makes the minimal changes is the WDR1 Amendment 1 or Map 1 that does the least amount of movement. Me and my family and other members, we pray together in the same place, we break our dinner together. I don't feel it's the right move for us to tell like you guys have to go to a different commissioner. We've taken a long time to build those relationships. I would appreciate you guys to hear our voice or a concern and take the best decision with us within the communities. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Anthony. You gotta work on how you never read your handwriting. I know the first name.
I just have too many energy drinks before I get over here, so anyway, my hand's a little jittery.
But I appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate the time that everybody on this committee has extended to come out. It's not an easy commitment away from families. But I want to go back a little bit because I think one of the problems we have here is that we're all working under the assumption that this is something that needs to be done, you know, and it's not. You know, from the very beginning, the county commissioner one of the county commissioners called a meeting on Memorial Day and tried to shove maps through. The county judge made a complete U-turn on his idea of why this should take place. And then here we sit down, sitting here thinking that this is something that absolutely needs to be done legally or for whatever reasons. And I've listened to the people presenting both sides of this, as you know, on every single one of these meetings. And I will tell you this, consolidating a precinct is not a good enough reason to do this. And I'm saying this from a fiscally conservative point of view, okay? Not assuming that things are gerrymandered already is not a good reason. for whatever political reason, and I know there'll be some people here that will come up and say, I just don't like Democrats, or I just don't like Republicans. That's not a good enough reason. Fort Bend showed that they are able to make decisions based on the distribution of people and based on good candidates. And we saw that in what was supposedly a Democratic-leaning precinct, selecting the commissioner that instigated all this. Now, there's a lot of things in here that don't look good. I witnessed shenanigans at the first precinct meeting, or the first meeting of this committee when I came here, when we didn't allow one of the committee people to be seated electronically, but then went ahead later on and allowed for everybody to do that anyways if they wanted to. Now, one last thing I will say in regards to this, wish you were here too, is the fact that there's just not a good look here. I mean, we've just seated a committeeman who's also a staffer in Troy Nels' office. And he's a nice kid, he's a nice guy, I mean, and everything, but it just is not a good look. When we start bringing the shenanigans from Washington over here to Fort Bend, or from Austin to here, I guarantee you that there's a lot of people who are not going to be happy with this, and they will come out and vote, and they're not going to be reflected in the numbers that y'all are using for 2024. They're going to come out conservative and liberal and vote on an election that generally wouldn't draw a lot of people out. And so I caution you to use a careful perspective when you vote. Cost the citizens at the least amount of money and the least amount of disruption. And I'll leave it to you which map actually does that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I have a Lily Vega Ward. Am I getting that right?
I'm sorry, I signed up by mistake. I didn't want to talk, but these three gentlemen ahead of me are right on it. I mean, I have to say I agree with them wholeheartedly. I am a retired middle school principal in Fort Bend ISD, and I didn't think I was going to talk, I'm sorry. But I am in agreement with what they're saying. You know, if the wheel is not broken, why are we redoing it? I understand that there's a lot of politics involved, but can we just continue to do what we're doing? We're okay. I've lived in Oleana for 8 years, and I've been through 2 precinct changes. I'm very happy with my commissioner. I'm very involved with my community, with the school district. So let's not bring that dirty politics here. But I am in agreement with the 3 gentlemen ahead of me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I have a Saba Umar. There.
Good afternoon, committee members. Thank you for holding this meeting and having a public dialogue today. My name is Saba, and I have been an advocate for the AAPI community for the past 10 years as a resident of Fort Bend. Before I say anything else, I just wanted to be on the record that I do not understand why we are doing this again and again and again. The lady before me from Eliana happens to be my neighbor, and she's right. We've had our precinct changed too many times for us that we are at it once again. I stand before you today, not just as a member of the South Asian community, but as someone who has witnessed its struggles, its dreams, and its undeniable strength. Our voices matter, our stories matter, and yet too often they have been split apart, divided into lines on a map that do not reflect the reality of who we are. I am concerned that 3 of the maps proposed would remove as much as half of the South Asian voters from Precinct 3, including my own home community of Eliana. This ensures that no elected official would ever represent us. How is that fair? Mr. Sahu, when we talk about Diwali, wouldn't you want someone representing you who understands what Diwali is? When a community is broken across precincts, it is more than just geography. It is a silencing of voices. It means our concerns get diluted, our culture overlooked, our needs placed at the margins instead of at the center. Representation begins with recognition. Instead, we cannot truly be recognized if we are separated on paper. We, South Asians, deserve to be seen as a community that contributes to the heartbeat of this country. Representation is not a privilege, it is a right. And today I ask you to honor that right, to recognize that a community like every other deserves to be whole, to be heard, and to have a seat at the table. We have already faced such kind of division when it came to the congressional maps, and I am requesting all of you to not do it on the precinct level as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have a Nulafar Habizi.
Good afternoon, and thank you all committee members for being here and for the opportunity for public input. We really do appreciate it. I'm also a member of the APAC community, and I'm here as a Fort Bend resident and as someone who, as a job, works in voting rights and voting rights advocacy. And I see part of advocating for voting rights as including advocating for fair maps. I'm have been a part of many nonprofit groups that work on those throughout the years, although currently I'm here on behalf of myself. Fort Bend is special to API communities. It is one of the few places in Texas that has a very large API population, to the point that about 23%, based on 2020 numbers, are AAPI. And this is one of the places in Texas where there's a chance for AAPIs to get an opportunity district. Our current map reflects that, and I want to reiterate what every other speaker before me has said about this process not being necessary. Fort Bend is incredibly diverse, and our current map reflects that diversity. No one asked for this redistricting to occur on a community-based level, and ideally we would not be here right now, and we would just keep the map that we have with an adjustment made for voting precincts, not to redistrict the whole thing. But since we are here, I just want to talk about what map is the best option for the API community. Map 1, Amendment 1, is the best option for that, and it's also the best option for voters across the board. Unlike the other maps, Map 1 only moves around 11% of voters, and given that we're pretty close to another election cycle, that is the best option to reduce voter confusion. And again, as someone who works in voting rights advocacy, it is confusing for voters to have their precincts moved around before an election. And going back to the API community, Map 1, Amendment 1 is the one that keeps that community together in Precinct 3. This is not about partisanship, this is about racial fairness and representation in maps. As we've seen in this past election, Precinct 3, that some people have accused of being a Democratic precinct, elects candidates of their choice. They elected Commissioner Myers. They also elected a South Asian constable who is himself a Republican in an election that featured 2 South Asian candidates, which is kind of representative of the kind of diversity of that community. And we need to keep that there. As an AAPI who's not in Precinct 3, I'm actually in Precinct 1, I can also say that at the county and local levels, this kind of representation is so important because we rarely ever get to feel that our vote counts for anything. At the congressional level, the API community has been broken up like many other minority communities in Texas. At the state level, the API community has been broken up like many other minority communities in Texas. When we look at that Fort Bend map, when we look at the opportunity to vote for commissioners, that is one of our few chances to go to the ballot box and feel that our vote really can make a difference as a community of interest. I also want to talk about how this kind of process that drowns out community voices just makes us feel.
You've hit your time.
Okay then. Map 1, Amendment 1, please. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next speaker I have is Mr. Bobby Everly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I've spoken several times, so I'm going to be brief. I just want to remind the committee members why we're here in the first place. Previous speaker mentioned that this is not about disliking Republicans or disliking Democrats, but the very reason that we are here is exactly that reason. In 2021, a map was generated to shift the balance of power to one political party so they would hold on to it for the foreseeable future. That is an undeniable fact. The fact that one of the Democrat candidates happened to lose, who was also charged with numerous crimes, should not be an excuse to continue the same map. So today I speak in favor of this process, in favor of a map that restores balance, and against the map that every single Democrat speaker over and over again supports. We need to get back to fair and balanced. Mike Gibson, a number of other maps do that job. I implore the committee to do what is right and undo what was done in 2021 and restore balance to Fort Bend County. Thank you.
Next, I have Clyde Neal.
I want to thank the committee for their work. We appreciate all y'all's work and what you're doing here. I am Clyde Neal, a resident of Precinct 3, and I oppose the WDRY maps, Amendment 1 and 2. They continue the distorted representation of the current map, which favors one party. The current map was adopted through a flawed process, which was not transparent. Fort Bend County is evenly split politically. To be fair, our precincts should be divided evenly as well. A 3-to-1 split favoring either party is not appropriate and would only fuel suspicion in a majority of the electorate that our politics are biased. Maps, Mike Gibson responds to comments. Also, how people vote, D and E, which provide a balanced 2-2 split, match the makeup of the county's voters. With these maps, future elections can best reflect the will of the people as new issues arise with each election. This is because there won't be an artificial hurdle that favors one political party. The city's maps, version 1 and 2, also provide a balanced representation of one precinct for each party and 2 competitive districts. This would also be acceptable. Now, some commenters have made the point, many commenters, that the new map should stay as close to the current map as possible to reduce costs. This is misguided. Fair representation is critical to promoting confidence in government. If the county needs to incur reasonable cost to fix the results of a questionable process that resulted in the current map, that is a small price to pay to build trust in our county government and unify our public. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Karen Perez. Karen, do you have your sheet that you filled out up there?
I gave it to you last time.
Okay.
This is my second time speaking.
Yeah, come on up, but I'll need you to fill out a sheet for the rest.
Sure.
And Victor, same thing, if you can fill out a sheet.
Hello, I'm Karen Perez, and I am a resident of Precinct 1. I object to any form of the WDRY map. We live in a county that is evenly divided, Republican and Democrat, 50-50. That balance is not a weakness, it is a strength. It means every voice should matter equally. But what happens when those entrusted with fairness decide to tip the scales? Commissioner Morales has appointed someone who claims to be a Republican, yet the map produced doesn't reflect balance. It doesn't reflect fairness. Instead, it hands Democrats an advantage that they did not earn. That is not representation. That is rigging the game. Let's be clear. Redistricting is supposed to honor the people, not betray them. It is supposed to protect democracy, not manipulate it. When our county is split down the middle, any honest map should reflect that. Instead, we are asked to accept a map that silences half the county and stacks the deck for one side. And here's the truth. The emperor has no clothes. Everyone can see what's going on. We are told to pretend that the map is fair, but the people know better. We see the lines, we see the manipulation, and we refuse to play along with the charade. This is a betrayal, not just of Republicans, but of every voter who believes that their ballot should carry equal weight. We cannot allow backroom deals, partisan favoritism, or political cowardice to decide who represents us. The people of Fort Bend deserve better transparency. We deserve fairness. We deserve maps that reflect our true voice, not the agenda of politicians protecting themselves. Today I say this: we will not be silent. We will not be sidelined, and we will not allow our democracy to be carved up for partisan gain. The emperor has no clothes, and the people are watching, and we demand better. Thank you.
Thank you. If you would please fill out that form for me. Now I have Victor Perez.
Thank you. My name is Victor Perez. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm speaking in opposition to WDRY Amendment 1 or WDRY Amendment 2. These maps are essentially the Democrat map, and the Democrats have been supporting in all the public hearings. Map Mike Gibson response to comments is a good alternative. Also good alternatives are maps how people vote D as well as how people vote E. We're a county that is essentially a 50-50 split between Dems and Republicans. We should be fair and solidify a 2-2 balance as well, not 3-1. As a Republican who resides in Precinct 1, I urge Commissioner Morales to vote against either of the two Wendy Duncan, Ryan Yokovides maps and vote to have a fair 2-2 balance. It's puzzling and frustrating to me, Commissioner Morales, as Republicans, why we are put in a position of having to contend with maps that are not fair, being Democrat, and are put forth and promoted by someone you appointed. Let's pull back the curtain. The truth is standing in plain sight. Thank you.
Thank you. That was our last public comment. We hit our 30-minute mark. So we're going to move on to our next agenda item. I should say this, the time allotment for public comment has expired. With no objection, we will move on to our next agenda item. Objections? Okay. The next agenda item is the approval of minutes from our prior meeting. You all should have copies of them up here. The chair has a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I don't believe that these meetings, these minutes, accurately represent discussion from the last meeting, including the points of order that were made and that were moved by the chair, and I would like the record to reflect that.
So these minutes do reflect the business. It does not have a point of order involvement in the board or how they voted. So I don't see an issue with our minutes unless somebody else has.
Mr. Chairman, at the last meeting, I would ask a question. Has the previous meetings been conducted in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act? And after much back and forth between the two of us, you did state that it was your belief that they were. I would like to see that reflected in the minutes.
And I believe the Commissioner's Court had said that we're not under Open Meetings Act. is what the Commissioner Court has decided. And if you would like to amend the minutes, you may put up a motion to amend them to reflect that.
I move to amend to have a statement from the chairman that these meetings and all previous meetings were conducted in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes.
I have a comment as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Under item 1, call to order, 1A, it says that regarding the agenda to discuss the inclusion of committee member Nicole Roberts on a remote Zoom, it says the motion passed unanimously, and from my understanding, the motion had 1 abstention. It did not pass unanimously.
Okay. So would you like to have that amended for the extension?
Yes.
Okay.
I move to have the minutes from the last meeting amended to reflect that there was 1 abstention for that vote.
Second.
All in favor of that amendment?
Second.
I thought I heard a second. Yeah.
I mean,
Discussion, sorry.
yeah. So, the motion,
It said it passed unanimously.
that was the motion to set aside the meeting agenda and discuss that issue. That's what that motion was, and it was passed unanimously to set aside the agenda.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, the speaker is limited to what is in the minutes. You cannot speak about what is not in the minutes as if it happened.
May I ask what that is in reference to? Because it clearly says here that there was a motion and seconded to temporarily set aside the agenda to discuss the inclusion of the member. The motion passed unanimously, and it did from those that were present. And so I'm not,
There's two actions in this.
right.
So the unanimous was the unanimous to set aside our agenda to.
That's what that is.
Okay, then I amended my previous statement to show that the motion, the second motion to overturn was defeated by a 6-3 vote and 1 abstention.
Second.
I believe it would have actually been a 5-3 vote with us.
Thank you.
I gotta amend my motion to state that.
My opinion is that that would not be accurate because she had not been actually accepted into the meeting.
There's none of us here, so it was 5-3-1.
Who was the extension?
So I have a motion to amend the minutes to reflect a 5-3-1 vote. 5-4-3 against one abstain.
And I abstain because we did not want to.
That's fine. Can I get a second to that motion? Oh, you seconded it? Okay. If there isn't any more discussion, can I call for a vote? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? And are we abstaining? You approved the change?
I reject, I approve.
Okay. Is there anything else in the minutes?
Not, Mr. Chairman, point of order, it's not what's in the minutes, it's what's not.
there's no more discussion about the minutes, I move to accept the minutes with the amended, what was voted on? The amendment that was voted on. The amendment was the 5-3, and that was the one. 5-3. Yes. I motion that, we vote on this. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Vote.
Abstain? 1, 2 opposed. All right, the minutes are approved. All right. Next item on the agenda is map presentation and discussion. So I want to allow each map creator 2 minutes to present their maps. And if they have there's amended maps that people have submitted to the committee. Some of these, I'm going to give everybody 2 minutes to present those and share with the committee and the public what they've got. And they share, okay. All right, we're going to go from the agenda, and then we'll move from there. So the first map that I have is how people voted amend to map D, the Pendra. I'm bringing it up on the screen for you.
Okay. The map that I developed depends on purely numbers. And the numbers were the deviation between the highest and lowest will be within 10% or 5%, something in that context. And also, I did not take race into consideration because it is considered illegal. And if you look at the statistics, my assumption has been to Republicans and to Democrats so that there will be balance of parliament. Nothing. Those were my assumptions, and that's why I designed. In the map D and E, there is not much of difference, so I would go with the map E as a amendment or corrected. Just like the
So are you removing from consideration D?
I'm removing D from consideration, yes, because D and E are pretty much different.
And instead, you are looking at map E?
Yes.
Okay, that's what you're submitting.
Yes.
So map D, let me bring that up. Where's the map? Committee members have it. If you want to, I have to try and find it in my email. There you go, Kendra. Here's your map.
So if you look at the data and go with the stats, you will be able to see that on the map E, it's the distribution between the population and the deviation between the numbers is very minimal, less than close to 1% or less than 1%. And with this one, precinct 1 and precinct 3, with precinct 1 is solid Republican, and precinct 3 is kind of on the borderline, it's about 52.8%, but that is like the rest you can do now that is. And also if you look at the next slide, where it talks about the 4 characteristics, to go to analysis, and you will see that it kind of covers the whole cycle. It's very difficult to cover them as a whole, how this comes close to.
Is there anything else? Okay. The next map on our agenda is the WDRY map amendment 1, and I'd like to call Mr. Crispino to stand to walk us through this one.
Thank you, Chairman. Is it possible to get the PDF that I sent you displayed in below of the DRA map? Is that possible?
Might take a minute.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much, Chairman and Committee. Should I go ahead and get started?
Yes.
Okay.
You have 2 minutes.
All right. First, I want to address an allegation that was just made. I want to be clear why I'm here. I am not here as a partisan. I am here because the committee called for public feedback, and I heeded that call. The committee asked for community feedback, and I showed up. I solicited it, and I gave it. And we are here as committee and as concerned citizens because Commissioners Court found the need to get together a bipartisan group of concerned citizens to solicit feedback from the community. I also want to be clear that me being here goes against the express position of the party that some in the audience have purported that I represent, which has been to boycott this process. I am obviously not doing that. For these reasons, I hope the committee disregards those allegations and does not reduce my map and me being here to a partisan cause, especially if we sincerely believe that we are here to resolve a partisan issue. My map is an amendment to the original WDRI map. I believe that this would be a bipartisan consensus, a map that both sides can find agreeable with only slight changes. It is no cost or virtually no cost. It is also the only map that keeps all precinct level elected officials in their respective precincts as well as their annexes. And that it's also the only map that fully complies with the statutory rules adopted by Commissioners Court that set up this process. Only 4 changes are made to the original map. Number 1, the Needville Annex is kept in Precinct 2, saving costs for a new JP22 courtroom. Ileana and the Riverstone and Elkins area are preserved in Precinct 3 while still maintaining additional undeveloped land. This is something that I think we all have heard concerned community members on both sides of the aisle speak in favor of.
So your time is up, but if the committee would allow, I would like him to continue speaking. Everyone's okay?
Yes.
Yes.
No objection.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, committee. Number 3, in order to offset that change, the Town West community is added into Precinct 4. As I understand, it used to be in Precinct 4, and it also is a community of interest with the Mission Bend, Alief area, which is wholly contained in Precinct 4 as is. And lastly, additional undeveloped land is added in the Watley-Thompsons area to account for the removal of the Needville area from Precinct 3. The effect is a 2-2 map that reflects the partisan and racial diversity of our county. Instead of reducing the Precinct 3 Asian American population by as much as 20%, this would only reduce it by 2%, 42% as opposed to 44%. And the political composition is nominally changed from the original WIRD map, with both precincts 3 and 4 becoming more competitive. I think that this aligns with the spirit of the committee, what we're all here to do. And I would like to say, as I understand, this committee has either 2 or 3 votes at the end of this process to recommend the maps that Commissioner's Court eventually gets to vote on. I am not asking anyone here to vote for my map and my map only. I am asking for my map to be one of your votes. No matter your political stripes, I believe it would be in the interest of Commissioner's Court for them to consider a map that could ostensibly bring everyone together. I think that we can all agree that perceivably a map like this could be voted on bipartisanly. And I don't want us all to be in our partisan corners. I think that this map would help bring people together, and it does so in a reasonable way. I'd like to underscore the 5, before I yield back, I'd like to underscore the 5 main criteria that I identified in the resolution. Number 1 is keeping the majority of voters who elected the incumbent. I believe that this is the only map on the agenda today that successfully does that. Number 2 is keeping all of the incumbents in their respective districts. I can confirm that all 3 other maps remove at least 1 incumbent from their district. Number 3, keeping communities of interest in easily identifiable geographies together. This map visually makes sense, I think. And, you know, there are established communities of interest with the existing precincts. Number 4, no splitting precincts unless necessary. This, as I understand, only splits 3 or 4 precincts, and it does so in a minimal fashion where those precincts can be combined with existing precincts as opposed to having to create new ones, which creates administrative costs from the elections office. And number 5, avoid racial gerrymandering and cracking and packing. This map, as I described, is the best in that regard, and perhaps the only that successfully avoids a racial gerrymander. My last point, this map only moves around 11% of the population. I think that this is a reasonable option, no matter what maps you may personally prefer. I think that this is a reasonable option to bring to Commissioner's Court and let them deliberate on it. Whether or not the votes are there for it, I think that this is our best foot forward. Thank you.
And I want to applaud you for putting the effort into this. You're the only citizen who has submitted a map, and I really appreciate that, and I wanted you to get the full hearing.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
You need a break? All right, can we have a short recess for?
No objection.
Okay.
Let's recess till time certain, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, we'll recess till 5 o'clock for restroom break.
Well, you think you're dancing? Oh, you said me. Oh, I see.
So I figured this would be door, but oh, thank you.
Oh, my God.
Things that change you.
Yeah. The one on Highway 6, yeah. They closed a week ago today. I mean, I've been going there since I can remember. It's the one on, yeah, it's by Half Price Books. Oh, they have such good food. I don't know where I'm going to Italian food now. Oh, there's a really nice place called Yes. Yes. That is very good. But it's all the way over. Yeah. Used to like it until they refused to. Since nobody else is on I have either a 50 or $100 gift certificate. So we were at the anniversary party and went there and they said, oh no, we're not going to accept that. So we stopped going there entirely until all of it. That's the one well, but yeah, they the first time I went there, it was the best I heard. If your children are noisy, he asked them to leave. And I thought, that's a restaurant I want to go to. Because I grew up with, if you're noisy, your parents take you out to the party. Oh, yeah. And I understand, I guess, the chef just wanted to walk with us. It just wasn't. There's another Italian place
Come out, sneak it up. But I know where you start.
But it's just,
coming out again. Over on 5.
529? It's on Cross Street that goes from 529 to... What have I done? You've spoken about this. It's not easy.
When you get old, your back hurts.
I keep thinking what she said. Imagine if this was the 1950s and there's no air conditioning. How would we suffer?
Isn't that the truth?
Among other things.
Because the windows would be open and would be dust.
I think we should just take picnic tables, go down to the river and get a breeze down there and keep mosquitoes
And a
away.
margarita.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just, my back is scooted out.
Which precinct are you representing?
I'm in 2. 2. And I exit out there with 1 exit. Yes, yes.
No, he's back. Yes.
My back is killing me.
I like that pin.
Oh, thank you. My sorority.
Oh.
All right, let's get everybody back up here.
How are you?
All right, it is 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock.
I went up going to the dog park. In the morning,
Back to your seats.
I can take my steps and in the evening.
All right. Not sure where
And the girls get to do it.
we'll get going with that. All right. The next map I have on the agenda is the WDRY map from N2. And turn it up. Ryan, do you want to talk about this?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, thank you very much to the public who has been here. Several of you have been to multiple meetings, and so thank you for being a part of this process. I will tell you that the original intent for the Morales team was to create what the Fort Bend Business Coalition agreed upon or advised, and that is to create one strong Democrat, one strong Republican, and two swing districts, one slightly Republican, one slightly Democrat. It turns out that is extremely difficult to do and keep all of the elected officials in their homes. And so we, in a good faith attempt, using 2024 data from the Trump-Harris race, the Cruz-Allred race, and the local Chad Bridges and Faulkner race, created a map that was just that, according to the Fort Bend Business Coalition. We do understand that the software that we're using is a free software, but it does not include any of the local races. It only includes federal and state races. And so we do understand that according to the public and for public comments, I do appreciate everyone who made a comment in a respectful way. But we did take that into consideration, and so we did amend our map. And in looking at our map and other maps that are here, what I understand is that there's no map that gives us two competitive districts. Most of these maps are two very strong Democrat districts, one strong Republican district, and one slightly Republican district that could go potentially either way. So what I would like to do is to remove this map from consideration because it only gives us 51.43% Republican, and other maps give us stronger. So if we can't have two competitive, we would like to try to see if we can get the strongest Republican district in precinct 3 that we can.
I have a similar feeling, given the challenges that we have with making a map, it checks a lot of boxes and deals with moving parts related in this process. It's really hard to do it and make it all work. And so based on the comments that I received, I'd like to have more consideration as well.
And honestly, I would really like to see us get back to our commissioners focusing on roads, bridges, safety, and the things that they are commissioned to do. So that's really what I'm looking forward to in this process is being done with it and having them refocused on their tasks.
So you're removing Amendment 2?
Correct. And I'd also like to say one more thing, I know I'm out of time, but we are an advisory body. We are not a decision-making body. We can give these maps, whatever maps that we're going to give to Commissioners Court, and they can choose one, they could alter one, they could throw them all out and choose a different map, or they could choose to do nothing. So that's one of the things that I want to say as well.
And Mike Gibson, you had submitted a amended map to map E, the how people vote now. And here's next. You want to withdraw that map?
I want to withdraw my map because the amendment 1 that you did is much better.
So I have 3 amendments to maps that have been submitted, 2 of them by myself and 1 of them by Ethan. I will first bring up mine and go through those maps. Mine's an amendment to the Mike Gibson map. It's a secondary one here for consideration. This map, Amendment 1, takes the E map that Bhupendra submitted and it fixes some things. Over the weekend I was going through the map in detail and one of the things that comes up is some of these maps take people out of their homes, elected officials, and what I've attempted to do here is put people back into their homes based on how they vote, and trying to keep with that theme of what Kendra had done. And this map keeps every elected official in their home and every elected official in their office, with the exception of the JP in Precinct 2, but it puts the Derry Ashford Annex into Precinct 2, and the Derry Ashford Annex was a JP court up until recently and can be readily moved back into a JP court. So it allows for the JP in Precinct 2 to have a JP court that's ready to go and keeps everybody in their homes. And so there are some changes like down here where one of our constables lives. There's a breaking of that precinct to allow him to be there. There's a breaking of the precinct up here to allow a JP there, and it changed to Penrose to allow a constable who lives in this precinct to remain in this precinct. So this allows amending to fix issues, but also a lot of the public comment that I received over the weekend and all of the hearings, over and over again, people said, we need to have more than one commissioner with developable land. And so this gives the developable land between 3 of the commissioners, and it allows for the Austin Point project, which is currently in Commissioner Prestige's hands, and he's working on it, and in the middle of it, it doesn't remove that project, all of the work he's doing. It keeps his work in place so that he can finish the job that he started. So that's my amendment to Hendra's map, which is an amendment to Mike's map. It's kind of through 3 people, but I really feel like this map does the job of fixing a lot of the issues that the how people voted map creates, and is literally will be one of the least expensive maps for the commissioners will be considered. So that's my amendment to that one. And I have an amendment to map D, which I'll bring that up for this meeting.
As to how people vote.
Yeah, they're both of